remember I was told that I was weak.
That I was too aggressive.
I was told by someone that I would never make it as a writer and speaker and actually make money doing it.
I was talking about how I wanted to be a therapist, and a relative of mine was like, you don't want to do that. That's horrible. That's a really bad career.
My dad was the one who was like, you need to grow up and get a real job.
Many of us have experienced similar words of doubt, professionally or personally, and that negativity can manifest. According to Forbes, women make up more than half of the U.S. workforce, but only 35% hold senior leadership positions, and only 5% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. But this is not about being a victim. It's about being a victor. I'm Fox 13 Evening News anchor Sabira Rayford, and this is For the Girls, Women on the Rise. For the next 30 minutes, take a journey with us. Let's reinvent the reality of success, highlighting the change makers, boss women making a difference. These 5 women fit that description. They are business leaders in law, tech, travel, and philanthropy. We had a conversation about the highs and lows of success. First topic, taking on the haters.
How many of us on the stage and in this room have been asked to kind of scale it back or take a step back? Okay, wow, that's pretty significant there. Does anyone want to take on this topic?
You learn a lot from mentors and good managers. You learn just as much, if not more, from bad managers. And I had one in my prior company who was a bully. He was aggressive. He was abrupt. He would take credit for your work. And he would somehow make it feel like, oh, but I thanked that person on your behalf. And so I remember thinking, I'm confused. I'm not sure what's going on here. And I found myself getting quieter in every meeting and shrinking on the inside. In order to learn my voice, I had to start scrubbing my emails of every maybe, perhaps, do you think it might be a good idea if we maybe, perhaps, I would scrub them. Then I started doing that in one-to-one meetings. And then I started doing that in group meetings. And finally, I began to realize I wasn't the only person who was afflicted by this. The women, the people of color, the younger, everyone around me was going through the same thing. And where I began to feel powerful is when I amplified the voice of others. I don't know if you've ever been in a meeting when someone has said something that no one replies to. It is picked up by someone else 2 minutes later. I would find a way to say, hold on a second, Rashad, Rita, that was a really good point. Maybe you could tell us more about that. As I started doing that for more people, that's when I really began to say, leadership and your voice is that moment when you start thinking about the impact that you're having on other people more than the impact that they're having on you.
I found that the haters, it's more about them than it is about you.
Ooh, that's a big one.
They're seeing something reflected back that they find uncomfortable in them. And if you keep your enemies closer, you really find out that they're struggling through all the same things we are in different degrees and different phases and different times of life. But there's so much more we have in common than we don't.
One thing that I learned that is you have to be very bold, but when I hear a comment, a snarky comment, oftentimes I'll say, wait, just a second, I'm sorry, can you repeat what you just said?
Ooh.
And I do. It's a moment of, yeah, I'm sorry, hold on, what did you say? Oh, no, I want to make sure I didn't miss that. And then the second thing I'll say is, why would you say that?
That's a good tip, but as these women have learned, being a good leader looks different from person to person.
There are so many things on a day-to-day basis that are very humbling, and knowing that you don't know everything, to me, is part of what actually being a leader is.
That's how I've found my voice, is just kind of in those moments where I'm really kind of nervous and scared, just saying you're not called to be comfortable. The good stuff happens in those moments, and so go ahead and use your voice.
When you see something that needs to be done and everyone's kind of just waiting, I'm just like, okay, let's do it. Like, let's just do the thing. Okay, come on, let's go. And I do think that I've always been that way. In leadership, it is like recognizing the people maybe that are by themselves, walking over there too, saying, come on, come with me.
But sometimes you can't take everyone along with you for that journey. Take a listen.
As women of color, we face 2 big obstacles. The first is, the environments we're in that we're not native to. But the second is our own community. We inherently, especially in the Latino community, you have your haters, if you will, or if you want to excel yourself, the word I love is you're just, that's white of you. Why is excellence, articulation, and financial fluency an inherent white trait? It's very, very difficult, and we don't talk about that enough. No, that is my generational, changes that I'd like to make. There does become that point when you have to put on your own oxygen mask, right? And there's a lot of guilt and shame in our culture sometimes to doing that, because when you make it, you are expected that, oh, you made it great, that's my success too.
This is the TEDx Belltown Women event. We made it, and as you can see, it is a pretty lively event. So we want to give you a behind-the-scenes look. It's lively, it's fun, but let's go talk to the woman who organized this all. And here she is, Liz Galloway. Liz, thank you so much. This is so amazing and such an inspiring event. What went into planning this?
Wow, it was such a labor of love. I reached out to TED. I'd been talking to them for some time, got the license, and then it was just full-on runway from then on. And so it was really important to really start setting in motion early all of the details that go into this, because there's a lot of behind the scenes that people don't see, and they're really not supposed to. They're supposed to come and have fun and enjoy the voices, because it's all about bringing people together.
Why now? How needed is this for women in our community? I'm seeing a lot of people reacting to some of these amazing speakers.
If you're going to talk the talk, you better walk the walk. I mean, that's kind of my thing. And so I think this is being one of the states that really upholds women in entrepreneurship is super important. But just people have been talking to me about how they want to change their lives too, thinking about what's new, what's next.
Speaking of, what would you tell that young girl or young woman, maybe a woman that could make it out today, what would you tell them maybe if they're struggling with their confidence or self-worth, self-respect? What would you share with them as a strong, confident woman?
Wow, that's such a deep question. We could have a whole episode on that, but there's this saying that I love, and it's, if you've gotten on the wrong train, don't stay on too long, because the longer you stay, the more expensive the trip back is.
And it's not just about feeling good, it's also about looking good. And joining me with more on that is Christy with Posh Beauty Bar. Christy, tell me what it's like to be a small business supporting this amazing event.
Well, I love entrepreneurship. I love being a female local business owner. For me, it's about creating, curating a bespoke lifestyle for yourself, because anything and everything is possible. And for me, I get to elevate people's essence through their inner and outer beauty.
Okay, what's the beauty tip, beauty trend right now? What's hot?
Ooh, beauty trend. Okay, well, if you're looking for long hair, you can add like hand-tied extensions into your hair, or the nice chop haircut. A blunt bob is so chic right now and a great way to raise your vibe for 2025.
I might just have to go to the hair salon, or I could just Photoshop a nice look. On that note, talking about women in leadership wouldn't be complete without talking to a woman who is taking on the topic of artificial intelligence from the top. Can you spot which image is real? It's not a trick question. Seriously, which image do you think has not been doctored by artificial intelligence? It seems these days it's all around us. We can't escape it. We're sitting down with a woman who has the conversation almost daily. Let's welcome in Kanika Havelia, who is helping to make sure artificial intelligence and machine learning isn't abused in our daily lives. So Kanika, can you spot which image is fake and which one is real?
Oh, that's a tricky one.
What are you noticing just kind of looking at it?
Maybe, I guess, probably the one at the beach, because the rocks are kind of a little bit not exactly how I would expect that to be, and then there is a shadow difference. So I would guess probably beach, but that's kind of very close.
I know.
What do you think?
The thing is, like, when you're looking at this and you're scrolling on Instagram, you might not notice initially.
No. The way we can address that challenge is to be aware of that shortcoming in our society, and understanding that it is getting manifested in our outcomes, especially in technology products as well. So
what do you mean by that?
So, for instance, there have been public news about it on AI models that were used to generate or identify resumes for job postings, and they were a little biased against women because they were trained on historical data, and there weren't that many women back then working in tech sector, so AI didn't know what a women resume looked like.
Wow.
So just being aware of that there's a disparity that exists in our society, and acknowledge that and address that while you're designing these technological products is very important for us.
What can we do at home? We have, daughters, we have sisters, we have friends. How can we protect our loved ones and ourselves in this medium?
So I will say definitely embrace it. Do not shy away from embracing it just because it is something something you're afraid of or it has some shortcomings. Like any tool that is known to mankind or to society, it can be used in a positive and a negative way. So embrace it.
Okay.
First, that is there. Second is educate yourself about it. So educate how you can use it as your strength, as your tool, and also educate yourselves about its shortcomings, about the dangers or the damage or the risks associated with it.
Now, something you told me, I think, which would be the third tip, is read the fine print.
Yes. So, there is a lot of terms and conditions. We all love to scroll through. Those terms and conditions do talk about how your data will be used by a model. Let's say if you're using an app, it tells you how it's going to use your data.
Give me a quick example of how that data is being used. When we say data, what does data mean?
Your browsing history, your preferences. It tells a lot about what you're searching on the internet. You may have seen, like the other day I was at home with my family and I was talking about some issues in the family, and I get a notification or, well, an ad on my Instagram suggesting me a book, which is very relevant to what I was referring to in that family dinner.
So it's going to be beyond just changing a little bit of a background here. This is just the beginning. Wow. Kanika, thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Coming up on For the Girls, Women on the Rise.
You gotta go fast.
Fashion in the fast lane.
It's almost like you're painting with fabric.
Meet the Seattle woman who tailored her dreams into a fashion empire. The 3 actions she took to transform her career. And then,
a young girl who saw the world through your eyes.
Changing the Tune, an in-studio performance of the viral song, helping women conquer some of their biggest insecurities. You don't want to miss it.
There's a story on every corner. It's a little bit of a cliche, but really, take a look around at the iconic downtown Fairmont Olympic Hotel. This display tells a story. But who is the woman behind this display? Well, that would be Luli Yang. This is the place that transformed her career, and she's sharing the fabrics of her success.
Where's my phone? Where's my iPad? Oh, there we go.
It starts with a vision.
Usually the concept comes to me a lot of times between midnight and 3 a.m.
Then Luli Yang's hands quickly become the illustrator of her mind.
We got to go fast.
Okay.
This is actually a half size 6.
Within minutes,
we're testing the draping, we're testing the pattern to see if it actually behaves the way we want it to.
It's a similar process for her business decisions.
Quick decisions are important. Agility is important. Being agile, being open-minded.
Lean into the fear.
Lean into it. And ask yourself, like, what would it take for me to slowly become an expert in that unknown? And then we're probably going to be innovating into something better. The next step. What's next? What's next?
For Luli,
this is my hair uniform.
It's typically drawing, draping, and design.
So we need to create in layers.
Symbolic of her journey.
What is the fascination with butterflies? They're so beautiful.
What was my first dress?
Called the Monarch. Working in architecture and graphic design, she created the initial sample out of paper for a charity art event. The reaction was enough for her to pivot back to her first love of fashion, a true metamorphosis.
I still have my journal that I wrote in, my pros and cons of quitting my job.
Oh my goodness.
And starting my business back in 2000.
Wow.
Yeah, I pulled that out once and looked at it, and there were 10, categories that were important to me, and I rated them by 1 to 10, point-wise, and how important was passion in what I do, how important was community, how important was the financial aspect of what I do.
She gave herself 5 years to make it work.
I remember it was really hard in the beginning because there's nobody, no client, and I still remember my first client coming in. For a dress, I made a red dress for her for $200.
It's always a red dress.
It's a red dress for $200. But I was so appreciative that, the elevator door opened and she came in. She's like, who are you? I'm like, well, I'm a new designer. Can I make you a dress?
What was your big break?
Number 1 is moving from my small little studio in 4th and Pike where nobody could see me. So it was very, very much just word of mouth to this location, to the Fairmont, to the corner of 4th and University, because all of a sudden I had 7 windows and the world could see my work.
That butterfly was out of the cocoon, right?
That was
the caterpillar was out of the cocoon.
It was. It got wings and it came out.
But as her opportunities grew, so did the naysayers, people in her own industry.
They said, you know, Luli, I don't know why you chose to go in the garment business because it's hard and you're not going to make it. I had to stay strong to my own goals. This fabric here, we created from scratch.
Her first year at the Fairmont, her sales doubled, and people from around the world began requesting her custom couture pieces.
A piece that we did for an event in Paris.
There were some snags in her success, like the 2007 financial crisis.
The economy tanked, and retailers had a hard time staying afloat. That was really scary back then.
But by 2015, a new vertical of her business took flight.
My favorite airline called me, you know, my hometown airline. They're here, and I've flown them since I was a kid. You know, calling me to maybe partner with them on this endeavor, and I was so honored back then.
After Alaska Airlines, it was Climate Pledge Arena and even Amazon.
I think diversifying a business is also what I learned. It is important.
Over the last 25 years, her brand has continued to evolve. Luli Yang Couture, bridal, ready-to-wear, Luli Leisure, and her uniform business.
Oh my gosh, that looks good. Wow. I count on my team. I can't do this without other human beings that are really talented, and that's another thing I learned. Can't do it alone.
What's the best thing that you've heard?
The best thing? Oh my gosh, there's been so many moments.
What's the top one that you move fast? Come on, fast.
Okay, well, fast is, I've ran into someone on the airplane, on the flight, and they're like, Luli, Luli, Luli. I hear my name, and somebody comes up to me and says, Luli, you did my gown a few years ago, and you changed you just changed the way I felt about myself. I felt the most beautiful. You made me feel like myself in my own skin. I felt so beautiful, and thank you. And that was, I think, a few years back that this person remembered that moment. And I think that's magical. I think those moments I want to create. Yeah.
I love her energy. I also sat down with Dr. Michelle Terry, who told us to create those beautiful moments, you also have to create a sense of peace.
As a physician, I, take care of other people. But first, I needed to learn how to take care of myself. So I know how to do both.
How long did it take for you to master the art of not only caring for others, but, like you said, caring for yourself?
Well, it was before the term self-care was in the vernacular when, everyone says, take time for yourself, rest, relax, do some self-care, do some meditation, do some yoga, exercise. However, I always followed my interests, and I think that's self-care as well. So if you're, curious, and if you're, thinking about something that is interesting to you, then there's no reason why you can't find out more information about that.
And there's no reason not to find a good vibe, and that can involve feeling the music. Victoria Contreras is in our studio. Her powerful performance is next. And we're not done yet, but we are done playing small. Introducing Victoria Contreras.
A young girl who saw the world through your eyes. Dreams you say I should leave behind.
I am a professional speaker and a 3 times published author.
She can't hide my muse, my worth, myself, my pride. All I need is my own light. I found the girl who wants it all, and she's done playing live some more.
I'm strong. I'm not weak.
It might feel like the world's trying to take you down. Oh, obsessed with the mess, but you know you're above this.
I am accountable. I got mental fitness. I'm a music artist, and I inspire people.
But they can waste their time while you stand tall. 'Cause I found the girl I used to know inside, and her fire is strong and beautiful. She can't hide. I muse my work, myself, my pride. All I need is my own light. I found the girl who wants it all, and she's done playing live some more.
I am self-confident and successful.
The story of my life was not true. You built fences of fear that stole my youth. It's time, change the story, change your life. My muse, my word, myself, my pride. All I need is my own light. I found the girl who wants it all, and I'm done playing live some more.
I am someone who believes in my dreams.
And remember, when you bet on yourself, you never lose. I'm Sabira Rayford. This has been For the Girls. Keep rising. See you next time.